lo and behold, I made a choice to be in a couple gears higher than I should have, and I had nowhere to go, and I smacked this car at a high rate of speed, went flying through the air, busted my shoulder, broke my scapula in half, broke my back, broke my elbow, broke my hip, broke my femur. Put my hip brace on, and I would ride to his house on Sundays, and I would arm wrestle left arm, just to be around guys so I didn't get too depressed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then when my right arm became mobile, I put my right arm up. These guys were amazing.
We're very, very, very blessed with our training partners and teammates. I mean,
100%.
we get to go to Dave Chavy's house every Wednesday
Yes.
with one of the strongest arms and best arm wrestlers in the world.
The planet.
And we can tee off on him, and it's not going to hurt our teammate one bit whatsoever.
Yeah.
Look out, East vs. West.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Palko back again with another YouTube video. And we had so much support from the Dave Shea video, nothing but positive reviews. So we are back again, and today we're being joined by John Heynoski, and everybody knows Bart Wood from the WAL. So we're gonna have a good interview with them today. And as you guys can see, he's got a hell of an arm wrestling gym behind us. So we're definitely gonna jump on some of this stuff and show us some of the cool workouts that you guys do. A lot of you guys might know John. He's been my longtime rival in the sport, probably for the past 8 to 10 years.
Yeah, good decade.
So great friendly rivalry between us.
Absolutely.
It's becoming more of a friendship at this point.
I think it's the way it should be, though, Kevin. You know what I mean?
We're
allies.
Now, we are now training together to get better for other different competitions.
Most definitely. And honestly, we know if we have to fight for the #1 spot, best of luck, bro.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a fight. You know what I mean?
That's why we arm wrestle.
Yeah,
that's what this sport's about, man.
At least it's our part of the country.
Yeah, and that just comes from that wrestling mentality. You know what I mean? It's like we could train together, make each other better, but when it's on, you know, hey, it's on, and that's that. But on any given day, either one of us could prevail. So
for sure,
it's awesome, and that's the beauty of that rivalry, is that him and I are always elevating, and I think that's why I did kind of choose you, Kevin, as a friendly rival, because you keep my my sword sharp. You know what I mean?
I think after Kevin watches this video and sees all the equipment and training, I think he's got some catching up to do.
I hope he calls me for a training session. For sure. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is like, you get better, and I feel like, well, now I have to get better.
Absolutely.
And now I get better, you feel like I have to get better.
Yes.
And that's the thing that's going to keep us getting better
100%.
over time.
And that's what I've talked to Bart about. I told Bart, I'm like, you know what, man? I'm like, Kevin is the kind of guy, he's so close. Like, I consider you basically a teammate. You're 2 hours away. You're in my backyard, right? And I told Bart, I was like, Kevin is a guy who is always getting better. He's always training. He's motivated. I was like, that's my guy that I'm going to use as a watermark for me. No matter what I win, I'm going to train with this guy, and I'm going to see how I feel with Kevin. Because I know that Kevin is always going to be able to be that international world level all the time.
Right.
And no matter what I win, where I go, I know this guy is going to be my best test.
Yeah.
So
he's always there, buddy.
I love it too.
Consistency.
And that's why I respected you.
Yeah.
You know what
that's
I'm
the way
saying,
it's
Kevin?
been for the past decade.
Yeah.
So a lot of you guys, you probably know John. He's a damn good arm wrestler in the United States. As we can see, some pretty good accomplishments. 2025 WAF national champion at 154. Third place at the Costa Rica
North
American Championship.
Lefty.
But what a lot of people might not know, John, is you come from a pretty good arm wrestling lineage.
I do.
You're a second generation arm wrestler.
Yep.
And your father was one of Erie's finest. So do you mind explaining your dad a little bit and how good of an arm wrestler he actually was?
Absolutely. You know, my dad, it's tough to start anywhere because he's such a dynamic human being that we could get into like hours of
I'm sure we
talking.
could.
But in a nutshell, my dad graduated high school in 1980. Okay, from Fort LaBeouf, and his brother Dave and cousin Larry were also arm wrestlers, and they kind of helped him get into that type of lifestyle where they would go to the local tournaments that were all the time. I mean, I know Bart knows of a lot of the local tournaments that happen, even like before I was born, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that my dad was interested in the sport. I believe in 1980 he was a PA state champ. He won a state boxing title that year.
Golden
also.
Gloves state champ.
And he won states in wrestling in the double A's at 132 pounds. So I talk about the number 132 a lot, and that's like my lucky number. I race motocross with that number. So, you know, it's just kind of like a good omen. If I see that number, I know that, all right, cool, this dude's here.
Yeah. So not only your dad was a good arm wrestler, he sounds like he was just overall badass.
He was. And you know what? I think the biggest badass part about him is that he was so loving. Like, we all hear about stories about this dude being like the roughest dude, this like modern day hero, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But a lot of people didn't see like the care and love and nurture that this big 20-inch arm, jacked up, mean looking dude had.
I got the pleasure
You
of
know?
seeing that.
Yeah.
And that was one virtue that he tried to show more than really his strength. So that's a dynamic about him that is beautiful as well. As beautiful as his arms were, like he was a loving dude. So, but getting back after what got him into the sport, our pioneer Dan Carr, who has done so much for the sport of arm wrestling in Erie, in the United States. He was the original creator of the American Gladiators too.
Really?
Yeah. So the guy was just a superhuman himself. I mean, he was like a 6'3", 325-pound Apache Indian that was just.
He was the power arm wrestling guy,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Yes.
And
We're
when
gonna
you-
have to talk about
Dude,
that.
when you talk about power,
Yeah.
like you got a 23-inch arm, and
Power pools.
yes, and you got a little bit of attitude, a lot of attitude. So there's my my billboard over there that says it's all about attitude.
Mhm.
That's him. He told me that stuff. It's all about attitude, and he teaches a lot of the native ways, the spiritual ways. So
He has Apache heritage.
yes,
Okay. I
yes.
didn't know
So
that.
like when we talk every now and then, if he tells me, hey, good luck on a tournament, he'll end it with a hoka-hey. Hoka-hey means, good journey in Apache.
Okay. So he's still around
Yes.
to these days?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's in Florida right now.
Yeah,
He's
he
come
helped
up 2
start.
years
He
ago.
helped start I think it's the 3D Wrestling Academy
WWE
for
Wrestling,
WWE.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh
Dud-
yeah, the Dudley boys.
Brother, yes,
Dudley,
yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you his contact Facebook, and then if you ever want to reach out, I'm sure
That would be a great interview.
Yes.
He would love that.
Yes.
I mean, he's what started arm wrestling
Yes.
in our area.
And he could
Okay.
give
Yeah.
some real back,
Yeah.
even stuff that I don't know about my dad. And he's intense for 70. He's like probably 72, 73.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a
And
warrior.
boy, he's tough. He's probably one of the toughest guys ever come.
He
to
was
this
in.
town.
He was in Sports Illustrated. They did the Living Bad Leroy Brown.
Yeah.
And it was Dan.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they had him at the World Championships. for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was
See,
cool, man.
That's so cool that you guys in Erie kind of know what your lineage is
Yes.
in the sport of arm wrestling.
We
'Cause,
stand
like,
on that too.
Yeah,
I
in
was 4 years.
Cleveland, I don't know before me anything that happened prior to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Not much.
We
Yeah, I
are
don't think
like
so.
Bart and I are like the sons and grandsons with a whole different type of expectation level. Like our fathers are like, okay, you are the guys that are going to keep going with the Team Relentless, along with Dave Chafee.
Yeah, he has
the
practice
guys.
every Wednesday at
Yes.
his house now.
James Wagner is
Our brothers in arms.
yes, Tom Taylor.
Mhm.
Those guys, they help keep that name of Team Relentless up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's cool.
we just come from a real tough background, a humbling tough guy background, and that's kind of what motivates us. We're very inner motivated humans. Bart and I mean, we work pretty tough jobs, and we talk when it's about 3:30 and we get together. Like, fuck, we're whooped, man. It's like, all right, let's go, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
We get it
Yeah.
together and we grind, and I give him mad credit for coming and training with me after a long, hard day of concrete work. So, and if it wasn't from where we came from and our fathers kicking our asses when it's tough, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So going back to your dad.
Yeah.
1986, he was in the Over the Top tournament.
Yes. Matter of fact, I may have to go get that plaque.
What's over the top? I never heard of that.
Yeah, me either, right? What is over the top?
So 1986, Over the
yeah.
Top with Sylvester Stallone.
I'm gonna go grab that real quick.
Every arm wrestler's favorite movie, I'm sure. What a lot of people don't know is the movie was actually filmed around an actual arm wrestling tournament.
Right, which John's dad competed in.
So here we go. Over the Top regional.
This
So this.
qualifier.
So in order to compete at the Over the Top tournament, you had to qualify at different tournaments
Yeah.
around the United
Yes,
States.
yes. I believe there was 3 qualifiers.
At his family's restaurant, the Ringside Restaurant, there's a picture of his mom and his dad with Sylvester Stallone. John's dad's like this.
Really?
Taking a picture.
Matter of fact, I might have that down here, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of arm wrestlers that are still in the sport today or still around actually competed in Over the Top. So,
Right.
and if you watch the movie, you'll be able to pick some guys out like Cobra Rhodes,
There
John
we go.
Zink. Yeah, so here it is. John's dad with Sylvester Stallone,
And that's my mom.
and then John's mom. So that's
Yeah,
pretty
very cool,
stuff.
man. So, it's not like, to me, in honor of my dad's journey, it's like, I want to make my own journey. Like, a lot of people are like, man, you and your dad, you share the same name. It's like, yeah, but we're different people. I would never ride off my dad's coattail, like, there was a time where I think a lot of people were thinking I was living in his name, and just because we share the same name didn't mean that that's what I was doing.
Yeah,
was
different
I
journeys.
was I trying to use him as motivation? So, like he when you play a game, right, that race car game, and you do a lap, and then you got the ghost of your car, and you're racing. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's who he was. He was my ghost. And it's like, he was always ahead of me. So it was this great motivation. And
Yeah.
But I wanted to make my own path because while he was alive, he was my biggest supporter. The dude would do like anything to see me prevail in competition. He was harder than nails, but if there was some form of training method or something was lacking, he'd find it. He'd find a way to, get me what I needed to prevail.
Yeah. So after Over the Top, your
Yep.
dad, he went to Worlds in Israel, correct?
Yes.
Yes, 1991.
91. How did
Yes.
he do there?
Okay, so he took first place. He
All right.
won Worlds. He was a WAF world champion in Netanya, Israel.
Okay.
And that was at 187 pounds, which I believe, Bart, what is that, like
187.
80 kilos?
He was 187.
But that's like 80,
80,
80 kilos, I
I
think.
can't remember.
Yeah.
85 kilos.
85 or
Maybe
86.
85 kilo. At the time, he was Team USA's captain,
Oh, really?
along with, I
With
believe,
Co-
Steve Walker.
Yeah.
I think Steve Walker.
Another East Coast guy.
They
Yes.
had Cobra Rhodes with them
Yep.
on that team.
Chad Silvers.
Chad Silvers, both the Beans, Karen
Yes.
and Frank,
Yep.
of course.
Frank took second that year at 98.
Really?
Yes.
Alright.
Cobra won 76. Chad Silvers, I believe, won 32.
132s.
And I believe Craig Toulier either won that year at 54 or was in the top 3.
But just the
Yeah.
legends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
needless to say,
Yes.
USA
Legends.
was powerhouse
Leslie
in arm wrestling.
Rams, I
back
think,
then.
Yeah.
placed that year. USA had some cannons.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cannons. And my dad, that year was probably his knockout year, Bart, because he went to Houston, Texas, and won nationals, a WAF nationals, and then he went to Atlanta, Georgia, which was the main qualifier for Netanya, Israel, and he won in Atlanta as well. Matter of fact, a cool story, when he was in Atlanta, he told me that he was down in a boxing gym where Evander Holyfield was training. And when we ended up getting that Jack Russell Terrier, he named it Evander
Oh,
after
okay.
Holyfield. And he
Really?
said it was just, like, my dad comes from a very tough gym, training, boxing, all that shit. And he said that they were put it on Holyfield. Like, those guys train at an extensive level. And my dad was impressed with how hard Evander would train.
His
Yeah.
dad's gym was the Dan Carr's gym that he made. It was called the Lower East Side Federation.
Mhm.
What he did is he gave a place for youth off the streets to come train and stuff. But if you trained there, you had to compete in either arm wrestling or boxing.
Yeah,
That's
the
awesome.
black and blue belts, they called them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
That's
They would
cool.
take their
And if
guys
you
to
didn't
Pittsburgh.
compete, you had to sell tickets for the for them.
Yes.
You had to pull your weight.
You had to pay your dues.
Yes.
This was a gym where
The toughest dudes,
never
the toughest
thrive.
athletes from around here. That's where they went.
It could never thrive in this day and age because it's too soft. People are too
Oh, yeah,
soft.
that gym was
they would
rough.
crack, and that's why like we get. This is my piece of that LEF. Like
Yeah.
there's no punk shit in this gym. Like we talk, we have fun, but when we get after it, we're getting after it. We're getting nasty.
Yeah,
We're
we
talking
do our
shit.
talking during our warm up.
Yes.
And then we stop talking.
Yeah, and if shit gets hard, it's like, oh hey, it's easy. Like, yo, get fucking.
Yeah,
come
let's
on,
go.
Dude.
Yeah.
Or I'll put an extra weight on when he didn't even see it.
I guess we might have to watch a little bit of that
Yeah,
after
for
the
sure.
interview.
Well,
Yeah.
it's been a long week for
I'll give it my all. I'll give it
I
my
might
all.
have to do that to
That
Kevin.
might be a little too intense for YouTube, it sounds like. As well.
Yeah, we ain't
I'll
no
give it my
snowflakes
all.
out there, right?
But a lot of people, they might know you as the World Arm Wrestling League referee. They might not know you as Bart Wood, the arm wrestler, though.
Mhm.
And they might be wondering how you and John have become so close. So you actually started training under John's dad,
Yes.
correct?
So I come from a powerlifting background. So I took second place at the high school nationals. I pulled the winning deadlift, but I hitched on it. Meant the deadlift went up and down a little bit. So that was the only time at a national competition I took second. I was pretty gifted for the sport. Big knees, big butt, strong hips, and
All the right things. For
so I won a lot of national titles. And I won the junior worlds for the AAU in 1998, the collegiate nationals that year as well. And so John's dad knew who I was because I was always in the papers. And then in my senior year, I got a job as a trainer at the gym that he was at. And the first time I saw his dad around town because everyone knew the name, And then I seen this dude walking down, and he had his do-rag on.
White dude with a
Yeah,
do-rag.
and then
he had juice.
yeah.
He had his the Zuba or his warm-up pants, and he had his black Yukon jacket that you won if you won one of the regional things, which was one of the baddest tournaments ever.
Oh, yeah.
And he's walking in like this, gets into the gym, he's into his thing, and I've just never seen a dude at 185 pounds with 20-inch arms
Yeah.
that could do the stuff he was doing at the gym. And I got to meet him at the gym, and he took a liking to me and started showing me some arm wrestling stuff. And then after about 2 weeks of that, he comes in because he knew my boss, who is Tom Taylor, our friend's wife now. And he said, "Hey, you're coming with me, kid." And I said, "What?" I go, "I'm working, John." And he goes, "I already talked to your boss." He goes, "Come on, we're going to an arm wrestling tournament. You can pull your first tournament now." So I said, okay. I was a senior in high school, and he took me under his wing. And I was really fortunate to have, for him to take a liking to me and take me under his wing. And I was blessed enough to, when he did the Tough Man tournament, so he's like, "Well, you can come spar with me. I'll teach you how to box a little bit." And I was scared.
Tough Man is
The
a
boxing.
tournament in Erie, and they had Tough Man. So
They
you
had
could
the
box.
boxing, yeah.
Older guys that box,
Yeah, and his best friend and training partner was
Lenny?
Lenny Lombardo,
Yeah.
who also was an awesome arm wrestler.
Yes.
And Lenny Lombardo is one of the baddest dudes you'll
And
probably
still.
ever meet.
Yes.
Yeah.
My MMA coach.
Yeah, and just a phenomenal jiu-jitsu and judo guy.
Yes.
And just on one of the best human beings you could ever meet.
True grit.
True,
True Italian family
Just
man.
if you sculpted a guy and how to be the morally good person, tough guy, that's his statue of Lenny.
Yep.
But so he took me under his wing, and then as we went on, I kept arm wrestling, and then as John got a little bit older, for the first time I saw John when I went to their house, he was in a high chair. I was a senior in high school, and he stepped away from arm wrestling for a little bit because he was so intensive a father, and just wanted to
100%.
enjoy all the things that he didn't get to enjoy
Yes.
through John.
He didn't have a childhood.
He had a pretty rough
so
childhood.
he lived his childhood through me. So
Right.
I basically had to live two childhoods.
Yes,
So then we always kept in touch and still we were friends, and then he would dabble in it, and he'd be like, "Let me feel you," and then I became a father, and he started coming back to the sport, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And to my kids, he was Uncle John. He was Uncle John. He built them a dirt bike, taught them how to ride and stuff. And unfortunately, we lost, you know, Big John in a bad accident. And he used to have a tattoo across his forearm, and it said "Relentless."
Right where I have respect
yeah.
at, you know.
He had "Relentless" because that was one word to
Yeah.
that was one word to
Yeah.
describe him.
Yes. For
So
sure.
that's why we named our team after Big John. You know,
And
Team Relentless.
Not only relentless, Bart, in being a grinder. The dude,
Yeah.
like.
And
if there
anything
was
he did,
anything,
it was relentless.
It
push.
didn't have to be kicking ass or training.
No,
like,
it could be being a father,
yes,
being a husband,
without a doubt.
being
Without a
anything you
doubt.
do, be
yeah.
relentless.
Anything morally right, this dude would just
Yeah.
laser
So like,
focus on
where
it.
I have relentless on me.
I finally got mine, but we all wanted to
Dave
earn
Chafee
ours.
has
we all had
it.
to earn it,
Yeah.
you know.
Hey, Paul Talbot.
Yes.
He's one of our guys.
Yep.
You know, he has relentless all the way up his side.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but Adam Wilmot, when he was in sport, he has relentless on him. We have a lot of guys that we had the pleasure of.
Sean Whalen, our boy Sean.
Yeah.
Got to give Sean a shout.
Yeah, and Sam Harris, a name you guys all know. He came to his first tournament in Erie.
It was my dad's, right? Was it
was after. No, it was at Scooters.
Okay.
And
yes, that's right.
and I pulled him aside afterwards. We handed him an award for the best
Mm-hmm.
amateur puller, and I said, "Hey, you could really be something in this sport." And he just so happens he has a sister who lives 45 minutes from here, so for a few years, once a month, sometimes twice a month, Sam drove
to your house.
4.5 hours over to his
Yeah.
sister's. Then he would come up to Erie and practice with
I had
us.
the pleasure of getting my ass whooped
Yeah.
by Sam for a few years.
Yeah, I mean that's our brother.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we've been blessed with some awesome human beings that come
Absolutely.
through and become a part of
Yeah,
our
for
journey
sure.
together,
Yeah.
our brothers.
Like you
and
guys
I.
too, man.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys coming up here, you know, and taking interest in this, and yeah, man.
Yeah, so
this
for
is good stuff.
Yeah.
So for my arm wrestling I started when I first started. I just wanted to. Me and Tom Taylor would talk, and we were like, man, if we could go to the nationals and win a match, that'd be cool.
Right.
You know, and we just kept grinding, stayed with it, you know, and then started doing better and better. And back when they had the Harley pool tournaments, I was able to place. I placed a top 3 and a top 4.
Bart, was that
There.
2001?
2001 was my first
Yeah.
one.
So
Clint told you?
Clint was
Yeah.
at Harley Pool in
dude, he was there,
2001.
Bart.
Yeah, I was there too.
20 years ago.
Clint
Yeah.
had no clue what was going on.
Yeah, right.
Never arm wrestled before, and there were probably guys there like John Brzezin,
Engen
was
there.
Tersey.
Yeah, there's
20
yeah.
years
And
later.
Dave
Clint's just-
Patton, Davey Patton.
Yes. Yeah.
R.J. Molyneux. I mean, you name it. There,
Yeah,
Travis
yeah.
was there.
Cobra was
Christian
there.
Benny,
Yep.
Cobra.
Were those in Ohio? Where was
Yes,
that?
yeah. Oh, just out. If you go past Toledo, it might be like the last
Yep.
exit before
That's
you
where it
get
was
into Indiana, right off of I-90.
That's
And it was
awesome.
the coolest hotel
It's-
because there's balconies all the way around, and you could look down and here's the Harley, and then there's the 2 tables up on the stage,
Yeah.
and the baddest arm wrestlers in the world.
Yeah.
That's my regret.
John Brzezin
I
was there
should
every
have stuck
time.
with it 20 years ago,
Oh,
and I would have
yeah.
been like these guys.
Well, like I said at breakfast, man, now's your time.
Yeah.
Well,
You know?
now people know about the sport because YouTube, because of what we're doing now.
Hey,
You
because
didn't know
guys
about
like
it
you,
back
Clint,
then.
like you,
Yeah.
you help the guys like us that are down in the grind, man. You know, like how are we gonna video this all the time? I'm not a
Yeah.
Yeah, you
videographer.
can't, right?
Right.
You know, by the time I'm ready to video, I'm too tired.
Our sport is still in its infancy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's people they're causing it to go up, and we need more people to know about this.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I guess the first big explosion of arm wrestling, for
Okay.
me at least, was Game of Arms.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
both of you guys
Yes. Yeah.
were on the TV
Yeah.
show Game of Arms.
What an experience.
Yeah.
I think that was in 2014.
13 we filmed,
Okay.
and 14 it came
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
Yeah, so that,
That's when Dave Chafee was on a tear.
Yes.
And which, I mean, we kept going to the nationals, and like our Pennsylvania was winning the national titles, you know, for the team, and that's when they started filming for the teams for the show. when they're interviewing down in Louisiana, they're like, you got to see those boys up in Pennsylvania. And then they finally came. They got a hold of Dave,
Yes,
of course, because Dave is the superstar
He
of
beat
us.
Hollywood, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
he beat Underwood
yeah,
down
he beat
there.
him, yeah.
And he got there like, who the hell is
Yeah.
this Dave and who is
Yeah,
Erie,
he beat.
PA?
Yeah, and then he beat Richard Lupke's at the Arnold, and it was just awesome.
The
Yeah.
Game of Arms is wild story for me anyway, because I think I had, by the time of Game of Arms started, Bart, you had taken me to what, 3 tournaments?
Yeah, he was a pure amateur.
3
And now here
tournaments.
you are on TV in front of
Going
everybody.
against multiple world champions, this
Yes.
poor
So,
dude.
so here's how arm wrestling started for me. Y'all want to know?
Yeah.
I was a cage fighter. I sucked at arm wrestling. I couldn't win a fucking match ever. I am not built for this sport. I built myself for this sport. I couldn't win a match. I hated arm wrestling. Fucking hated it. Right. So, in 2010, I was 3-0 as a cage fighter, and I was getting ready to make my title fight, so I could then turn pro, because I wanted to go into NAAFS like my cousin Adam, and okay. So, I had a fight. It was May 26th of 2010. On May 13th, Friday the 13th, I had an R1, Yamaha R1, all done up. Just a very odd, goofy day. Rain, didn't, we're going to ride, we're not going to ride. Well, we ended up riding. Lo and behold, I made a choice to be in a couple gears higher than I should have. Went around a turn too fast. There was a car that had made a quick maneuver and stopped, and I had nowhere to go, and I smacked this car at a high rate of speed. Went flying through the air, busted my shoulder, broke my scapula in half, broke my back, broke my elbow, broke my hip, broke my femur. And at that point, I'm like, okay, well, so I'm laying in the street thinking about what the hell's going on. A couple days go by, this hospital, that hospital, I come back. I'm in a hip brace, and it's summertime, and me being the type of guy I am, I don't wait for shit.
Yeah, you
so
gotta be doing something.
I put a pull-up bar in my doorway, and I mean, I asked Bart, I rode my R1 that I wrecked. I fixed it in my wheelchair because it was my only means of transportation. Put my hip brace on, and I would ride to his house on Sundays, and I would arm wrestle left arm, just to be around guys so I didn't get too depressed.
Yeah.
Then when my right arm became mobile, I put my right arm up. These guys were amazing. They would just let me just do light tug, rehab, and now my right arm is where it is. But I still every now and then have tar and glass fester out of my elbows. Yeah. Oh yeah, I had shorts and a t-shirt on. I was absolutely just. There was a time in my life after I lost my dad. Not ashamed to say it. This was a tough time for me, and death is all I've seen. So that shit didn't scare me.
Yeah.
Even after I hit a car at 100 mile an hour, it didn't scare me. So I needed to just have a talk with myself, and arm wrestling has really saved my life. We'll just put it that way.
For sure. It has saved a lot of people's lives
yeah.
from what stories
Yeah.
that I've heard.
So you take a guy like me who couldn't win a match, and then you make him a national champion. All that energy it took for me to get here could have went somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's what I got to say.
How long did that take you, John, from being can't win a match to now national champion?
So I would
Well,
say,
last year was your first national title.
I would say, Kevin, so up until about 2017, I was a state arm wrestler. And then Bart ended up coming and training with me in about 2018, right? And from there, Bart was able to help me get to those next levels. He was able to help me get to the tournaments, to pull the quality guys. He was able to help me say, hey, I think you should pull this guy. You should try this. I'm going to take you to this tournament. I want you to fight this guy. So he was able to help me advance those levels. And then I would say by about 2020, Bart, I started turning the corner on really being, in my opinion, a technically good arm wrestler. Like a guy who wouldn't just be like, well, he trains really hard, so he might be able to beat this guy too. Well, John has the technique as an arm wrestler with the strength to be in the match of these top 3 guys at a national tournament.
It was also, I think, when John started taking to the sport and looking at it as a fight, as a fighter, with the angles
Yes.
and the fighting approach.
Yes.
Then it was those rungs on the ladder in arm wrestling, we started climbing.
Yes. I asked myself, I said, all right, I looked in the mirror and I broke myself down, and I'm like, to be a good quality human in anything, you need to like have layers. And if you have a crack in a layer or a space in a layer, well, you know, water, something you get in there and it spreads that out. So then, you know, those layers, they don't become smooth. So I peeled myself layer back by layer back. I'm like, what are your strong points in arm wrestling? What are your weak points? What do you bring to the table? What don't you bring to the table? And I realized that as strong as I am, my arm from here to here just doesn't have that nitty-gritty grind power as some of the top level guys, even like Kevin. Like his arm is a powerful arm. What I would have to do to my arm to make it comparable to his arm, power for power, is maybe not what I'm capable of. But I knew that I had good skills as fighting, and like I was able to stay into the match long, and I can take an ass whooping. So I figured, instead of teeing off on these guys who are stronger than me, let me set up in a spot where I'll take all you got. Kick my ass, bro. Whoop me all over the place. I'll stay in that fight. And then when you're like, yeah, you're mine now, dog. So
Pick
I
'em
knew
apart.
that
Yeah.
I come from a background. I've always been a small guy. I've always got my ass kicked. But I've become good at getting an ass kicking. And eventually motherfuckers are just like, I'm tired of beating this dude up. He won't quit. Well, you ain't going nowhere. It's my
Yeah.
turn.
No quit. We
No
have
quit.
no
This is a
quit.
sport where
Yeah.
size doesn't matter
Right.
all that
Right.
much,
So
which allows
now-
somebody like me to do
Yeah.
it.
So I go, listen, there are guys, me and Kevin are at a spot now where we could pick out a guy we know. All right, it's going to be a long day or it's going to be quick. So if I know it's going to be a long day, all right, I'm not afraid to get in there. If he don't flash me, bang! Oh, it's on. Let's play chess. I became a real good chess player. That's why I am where I'm at in the sport of arm wrestling, because like I said, I dissect my opponent. If I know who my opponent is, then I'll go, all right, I'm not just going to try to stop that one trick. I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to hit this dude here, and I guarantee you that the match is going to go here. When it goes here, I'm going to hit him here. And when it goes here, I know he's going to probably pull back, so I'm going to be ready for this. And then this, and then this, and then I got him. So I'm thinking like 6 moves ahead before the ready go. That's how it goes. I'm not just bam, gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Oh,
Not
oh,
only are you
ooh.
thinking 6 moves ahead what your opponent's going to do, but then you have to think about what you're going to do when
Exactly.
he makes that movement.
Exactly. So my motions now, in this game, you can't put a whole lot of pressure on you. So I got to go, all right, this is where the match starts. This is where it ends, right? If I wanted to end here, that big old leap, oh, God, nope. But if I go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there could
Bam!
be 100 movements from here
Yes.
to get to here.
yes,
And we're pretty. I mean, we're very, very, very blessed with our training partners and teammates. I mean,
100%.
we get to go to Dave Chavy's house
Yes.
every Wednesday
Yes.
with one of the strongest arms and best arm wrestlers in the world.
the planet.
And we
Yeah.
can tee off on him, and it's not going to hurt our teammate
Right.
one
No.
bit
No.
whatsoever.
Right.
And we can try every angle we want and know, like, hey, I'm not strong at this angle, but I'm going to just keep going there every week with Dave till I get a little better there. And then after Dave applies the pressure back and rips us out of our angle, when I go up to the table, there's really no one in my class I'm ever going to be intimidated by after playing with Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
What's cool too is us as lightweights too. We've learned how to give Dave work too to try to make him better because
With multiple arms.
yes,
Right.
yes, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
like last week I literally was
hanging
I had my both feet off the
Off.
table, hanging like this,
in
down
a
on
full
him.
press position.
In the best angle I could possibly get, and then he just rips me
Oh,
across the
Jesus.
table.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very impressive. Dave is really, really strong.
Look out for Dave at the
Yes.
new weight class.
Yes.
He is,
looks good.
dude. He's in better shape now than I've seen Dave
yeah,
in years.
Yeah, yeah. He actually
His
his arm looks bigger.
He's walking around at like 255,
Really?
256.
Yeah, yes. He looks
He's
athletic.
ready
you can
for-
see it like he's ready to go.
He's ready for
Right.
253.
yeah. I'm excited. Yeah. I'm
Look
excited for
out,
Dave.
East First West.
Yeah, buddy.